Welcome back to Bridges. We are talking to Lenny Willis and Dolores Williams from the Lucas County Metropolitan Housing Authority. Lots of terrific things going on over there, and we are going to talk to you a little bit right now about the newest and most exciting project that you guys have had in a few years, I think it's safe to say. A few years, Collingwood Green. Here's look at that wonderful groundbreaking. That was just amazing. An amazing day. There's a little outline of what the entire project is going to look like when it's completed. Take a look at those. Gorgeous. This is at Division and Nebraska. Belmont. Okay. Nebraska. Oh, that's right. The elderly piece is at Division and Belmont. That is right. It is just, it's incredible to see. If you are out driving around, drive by there and take a look at how wonderfully this is shaping up for that community. This is really part of a 3-phase program. Is that right?
Yes, it is. We started the master planning in 2008. And we worked with the residents. We brought them into meetings. We had charrettes because we wanted to get the
community
feedback.
Agencies, I remember.
Yes,
there were community agencies
we
involved.
wanted to get the input from the community, from the homeowners in that area, the Washington Village individuals and homeowners. And we just wanted to get a cross-section of recommendations and suggestions as to how we should redevelop that area. And one of the reasons that we decided to focus on that particular area initially is because of Toledo Public Schools brought a school back to our neighborhood.
That's right.
And then, of course, the neighborhood health center is there.
Has a clinic there,
and
right?
Yes, and when you start to think about redevelopment of a neighborhood, you have to look at what services are going to be provided. And with having the school and the health clinic, we were way ahead of the game in making that decision. We decided on bringing in a senior building. It was all family previously, but the seniors who had been there most of their lives, or all of their lives, decided that they wanted to have a building where they could be alone but still close enough to the families that they can still interact with them. But they wanted their own space.
Yeah.
And so they said we should build a senior building. They told us exactly what part of the campus they wanted us to build it on. And so that's exactly what we're doing, and we're really excited. It is going to be a beautiful
fabulous building. Residents are excited about this?
They are very excited, providing input and already talking about where they want to live in that particular senior facility. Yeah. So we're
How old do you have to be to live in there?
It's senior only,
and
so
older.
it's
senior
55 and older. I know some folks who need to consider applications over there. It's not me, of course, but
right.
But it's an amazing building, 68,000 square feet.
Absolutely.
And 65 units. Is that right? Fitness center, media center, community space.
Yes.
All of those things involved in there.
all planned with input from residents, which is really exciting. I think that when you can get when you can get that voice involved, you got a winner.
And this is, what are the next 2 phases?
The next 2 phases will be 207 units for family, and they will be townhouses and flats. We're also looking at including a community building because we don't have anything of that nature that's in close proximity to this area. At one time, we had the Maureen Simmons Family Investment Center that was in the old Gunkel School.
Right across
but when
the
they
street,
took away the school, they took away our facility.
Right. That was a nice little facility, too.
It was really
nice
great.
facility.
With a lot of programs and services in there.
Really.
So we have to bring that back. We're going to have a 7.5-acre park. That's going to be right there, gardens for the residents and so forth.
Oh, my stars.
And then the final phase is also going to include some small retail. And this will be the building that's going to be facing Division and Nebraska.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's where I got the Nebraska piece from. And that is actually residents above and retail
Small
below.
retail below.
Nothing like that in this part of the state. Nothing like that. And you see that kind of model in big urbans like Chicago. And when you and I talked earlier, I mentioned to you that I'm in Chicago a lot, and I see that a lot in Chicago. It's so useful and practical and energizing, actually. it's a great idea.
Well, we were trying to get our residents on board and get them to agree that this is something that we needed to do. We need to make this change. There was nothing that we could really do with that old housing. There was no more money to be put into that. We just put enough money into it.
When was it? Do you remember when that was built? Actually,
In 1939.
1939.
For Bram
1939.
Whitlock, and 1941 for Albertus Brown.
So on the other side of the housing that still stands there, when is that coming down, Dolores? Do you?
I don't.
We haven't made a
Is that a
decision on
phase
that.
two?
That's no, that's not the phase two.
That's not the phase
Yeah,
two.
it's not
okay.
the phase two. The phase two is only from Belmont all the way to Nebraska. And then
Okay.
on the other side, that's McClinton Nunn Homes. And
All
so
right.
we've not made a decision. That's probably the next project that we're going to entertain. but yeah, that we haven't made that decision yet. But we took a group of residents, actually put them on a bus, took them to Chicago. And they saw this model with the small retail and so forth.
I know, it's fabulous.
Because we were doing the charrettes, you know, that was one of their concerns. What kinds of services are going to come back into this community for us to take advantage of? And when they saw that, then again, their input was, maybe we should try to do something like that. And
Absolutely.
So we're moving based on their recommendation that this is what we should do.
What kind of comments are you hearing? Yeah, go ahead.
Up
I'm
to the
sorry.
last minute, I had residents calling, voicing upset and concern. I was born in this community. I grew up in this community, grieving, I think, that the buildings were coming down. And now,
Right.
as they're seeing new life being infused, those same folks are calling and they're excited and energized and wanting to know, how can I don't live there any longer, but I'd like to be a part of supporting that community. So
Yeah, isn't that exciting?
that is growth.
That is that's growth.
community
It's
building.
Community building, and I'm
is
so glad
best.
that you said that, because one of the things that we don't think about very often when we're looking at this new kind of building is actually the community development that's associated with this kind of building. Every day I drive by that site, so you know I get excited about it every single day, and I see the number of people that are working, and you can actually see the positive pieces that this brings to the community, other than the ultimate goal, which is to have great housing over there.
Well, and the other thing that we considered in all of this, and we invited them to some of our meetings, and they came as well, and that was some of the residents or the homeowners from Washington Village. I mean, these are families that made an investment in that community. They decided,
for people who don't know, is a beautiful housing area fairly adjacent to this.
yes, yeah. I mean, they made the investment starting back in the late 80s to
Right.
remain in that community. And they have done that. I mean, they've been steadfast in maintaining their homes and so forth. And then we have the Washington Village Estates, which was added later.
Right.
Again, they've made a huge investment in real estate.
That was all market rate housing, wasn't
All
it?
market rate,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And so we're now adding to that growth. And we're also, I think, helping them to protect the investment that they've made in their property.
Absolutely.
And so it's really exciting where we're going with this. They're on board. They've been involved with us. They want to be involved as we plan the next 2 phases of our project. So again, it's just good to have that community support and community involvement.
There's another part of this that for me is really encouraging. It is the commitment to make sure there are as many as possible residents who are being hired by the companies that are doing the building and renewing this community. So it's a win-win all the
You
way
guys
around.
plan that? That's fabulous.
That's part of it.
That's
yeah.
fabulous. So you actually are helping to connect some of the folks who are working on the project, the builders, that sort of thing, with residents who can do the work.
Yes.
How's that going? What a great idea.
It's slow, but because part of what we need to do is to get more residents trained. And so we're working with Owens Community College and some other institutions so that we can provide training and some skill building, capacity building for them, so that as we continue to expend the amount of dollars we're spending in this community, and a lot of it's federal dollars, primarily federal dollars, then we're required to have residents out there working.
That's such a great
And
idea.
it's
Such a great
not
idea.
just a pickup cleanup job. We want them to be able to develop
real work.
skills
That's
where
right.
they
Real
can have
skills,
real work,
absolutely.
and they can transfer that to someplace else. They don't have
Yeah.
to wait until LMHA does something. They can go out in
Do
the
it
rest of
somewhere
the
else.
world.
We've got less than a minute left, and I want to just answer yes or no. Any senior is eligible to apply who meets LMHA requirements?
Yes.
Okay, and I want to say to those of you who are watching, you need to go see this. It is an amazing thing for our community, and I encourage you not to be afraid of that neighborhood. That is a really positive neighborhood. This is a positive thing to happen there. I don't think there's anything, despite what you hear, there's nothing to be afraid of down there. Really, go down, take a look at that. We got to go away for just a second, but you guys will stay with me for a second, won't you?
Yes,
All right, we'll be right back.